Welcome back, everyone, to episode 3 of Show and Tell. This is my small attempt to highlight the people behind the Magic the Gathering community and their unique journeys as content creators. Today, I am joined by TheOneJame, Magic streamer, Twitch partner, and now full-time content creator. Well, first off, congratulations on the jump to full-time creator. That is quite the move. I'm very excited for you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. It's been a long time coming, been a major goal of mine, so can't wait to see what the future holds.
I'm always amazed. So I'm going to tell you, this moment for you is perfect because this is like what sort of inspired me to make this show. To see someone, playing essentially a card game, right? Probably the greatest game ever created in the grand scheme of games and longevity. Maybe not compared to chess. That's beside the point. Yeah. Chess gets the longevity and that. But like for like a card game, a fantasy world, to jump in and make this like your full-time profession is incredible. I could never do it. I can barely commit to any sort of passion project or any sort of artistic endeavor for more than like 2 weeks. So hats off to you. I look forward to see your journey and maybe be a part of it a little bit. Get some games and all that kind of good stuff. So what I wanted to kind of do is to kind of take this opportunity and really dive into how you got here, like how you became a full-time Magic creator. I know we kind of talked and you had kind of sent me some stuff that you started playing Magic. Well, let's get your Magic origin story. I think you said you started playing in Amonkhet. Is that when you jumped into playing Magic?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I want to say that it's been more than 2 weeks, I think. This is episode 3, so that means technically we're like a little over 3 weeks in. So your passion project is going over 2 weeks now. So I'm commending you on that one.
Well, thank you.
But and now I'll go into when I started playing Magic. Yeah, I started playing Magic in Amonkhet. Back in, I don't know what year it came out, but I did one draft and I had to ask my friend how to even play Magic because I'd been a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player before that. So, still playing Yu-Gi-Oh at this time. But yes, Amonkhet is when I started.
That's crazy. It's, for me, this sounds really pretentious, but like I guess I'm not super old school, but I started playing Magic during the Urza block. So, gosh, that's almost over 25 years now. I don't know, junior high. So a long time ago. But to see like the timeline of when people jump into playing, I mean, I wasn't even playing Magic when Amonkhet was in rotation. Like I came back, and Magic's one of those weird games because like I feel like you play it, and then if you're a casual like me, you'll play it for a while, and then you kind of stop, and then something will come in, like a set will intrigue you, and you'll jump back in. So for me, I was playing. The last kind of thing for me is I got back into it during Dominaria because that was kind of one of my favorite planes when I was initially playing, and a lot of characters I liked. And I've been still. This is probably one of the longest chunks of time I've still been into Magic between breaks. So it's just there's so many chunks of years of Magic I have no familiarity with, but like there's so much time that people can jump into it. It's just I don't know. I think it's just a testament to the longevity of the game and the kind of allure for people to kind of come into it. So where to start? So what inspired you to try Magic? I mean, you said you were a full-time or you were a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player. So obviously you had some background in card games. Were you looking for a change, or were you just wondering how it played compared to Yu-Gi-Oh?
Actually, it's kind of just off of a whim. There at Cool Stuff Inc. There's which is my LGS. One of my best friends, Raphael, that we played Yu-Gi-Oh together all the time. He was like, "Hey," because they usually kick some people out early because they had like huge pre-releases there. At least they did like I don't know 4 or 5 years ago when Amonkhet came out. But they were like, "Oh, I mean, why don't we just stay for the pre-release? I mean, we're here already, and we're already good at Yu-Gi-Oh. We can like sling some magic spells, right?" And I'm like, I don't know how to play Magic. I'm like, sure, I guess. It was just a thing that I was just doing with my friend to pass the time for that night. and it was a pre-release. I got like a really good. It was a pre-release, and then we did like a draft afterwards or something. But I think it was just a pre-release where I got like this amazing black cycling card that like did -1/-1 to everything. It was like a god or a lord or something.
Okay.
I forgot the name of it, but it was a really cool like blue-black cycle discard deck, and that's the first thing I ever made. So it was basically just almost a whim of just like doing nothing else that night, and then it kind of progressed after that. And I went back to Yu-Gi-Oh for a little bit, and then I went back to Magic because my friend was like, "Yo, there's value in Modern. You can make your you can you can get the cards in Modern and only get the deck one time and play it forever." Obviously, this is before Modern Horizons came out and stuff that really changed the game completely, but. I was like, well, what's the cheapest deck I can make? And I'm like, Burn, Storm, or Tron. And I'm like, well, I kind of like casting big spells, but I don't really like the blue-black stuff, blue-red stuff. So I guess I'll make Tron, not knowing it was like one of the most hated archetypes in Modern.
Yes, a lot of people have very strong opinions on Tron that I'm not gonna repeat some.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's funny.
So that time period from like that like draft slash like sealed open like Amonkhet to Let's Play Modern was like, a year or two span that I just didn't play Magic at all. So I built a Modern deck, played in like 2 tournaments, then just stopped playing Modern. 2 or 3 tournaments, like I played for like maybe a month or something. I stopped playing, and then my friend was like, "Yo, there's what's the set with a bunch of planeswalkers in it, and Nissa who shakes the world, and Narset, and all these broken planeswalkers."
War of the Spark.
War of the Spark.
Yeah.
Yeah. War of the Spark came out, and I like loved Sarkhan and Nissa and stuff. And I was watching a few YouTube videos, and I was like, man, this standard format, man, like Hydroid Crisis is so good. And just like all these cards, I'm like, but I can't afford Hydroid Crisis because at the time Breeding Pool was over $20, and Hydroid Crisis was like going on 20 like $15 to $20 at the time or something crazy for my budget at the time. And I was like, I'm not building a blue-green deck. That's like too much. But then I pulled an Oko out of a pack, and I was like, oh. Actually, I just fast-tracked. But backtracking a little bit before that, I was like, well, maybe I can play Standard. My friend is kind of like, well, if we're good in Modern, maybe we'll just play Standard. So I picked up I was like, what's the best deck in Standard? So it was a red-black aggro deck.
Okay.
At the time, it was like Hour of Devastation format. I think it was after Rampaging Ferocidon got banned.
Okay.
But I played the red-black deck with Scrapute Scrounger and Glorybringer and Chandra Torch of Defiance and Angrath the Flame Chains in the sideboard. And I played it was a PPTQ, I remember. It was one PPTQ. And I was like, well, I'm going to build this deck, but I'm going to put Wizards in it because I think Wizards Lightning is broken. It was like 1 mana, deal 3 damage to any target if you control a wizard.
Yeah.
So I played like Soulscar Mage and Gitu Lava Runner and stuff like that too, like in the black-red aggro deck. And I was destroying everyone in that tournament. This is my first Standard tournament ever that I ever played in, and it was a PPTQ.
Wow.
And I was destroying everyone. I'm like 4-0, and I draw in to top 8. And then top 8, I play against one of my friends from the store that I had known for a long time, and I destroyed him. He was playing some kind of like green-black or Abzan snake deck with counters on it.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? The counter snake?
Is it the -1/-1 counters, or?
Every time you put a +1/+1 counter on something, you put an additional one.
Oh, Hardened Scales. I think it's
It was like Hardened Scales, but it wasn't a creature. It was like a black-green creature.
Oh, gotcha.
It was a snake.
Something. I vaguely.
Yeah, it was some kind of like Abzan mid-range aggro-y counters deck, and I destroyed them. And I was like, well, on to the top 4. And then I played against a mirror match in the top 4, except for that person was playing the regular red-black deck, and I was playing the Wizards deck. I destroyed them, too! Long story short, I made the finals in my first ever actual tournament.
That's pretty good.
Playing Standard, and I played against some pro player named Brad Carpenter. I don't even think he plays anymore. But we were playing a mirror match again, because it was the best deck, and he destroyed me with Pia Nalar, making my creatures unblockable and killing me and stuff. But he completely demolished me. It wasn't even close. After that, I was like, I might be good at this game. But that, I mean, if you wanted to hear the story, I can tell you more. But that's kind of just like how it started for me, like thinking about Magic. But I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh as a pro during this whole time.
That's crazy. So, wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like jump right in and like have immediate success. I mean, I think that's probably a pretty big confidence boost. Like kind of switching games there a little bit.
Well, it was only like that tournament because right after that I played like a different Standard deck, not right after that. It was like like a year or two after that. I started getting into Standard again because I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a little bit, and it was like a lot harder than I had thought. I was like, maybe I just got lucky in this PPTQ.
Mhm.
Go on.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where like obviously luck is part of the game, right? Because you could be the best, even the best players of the world. If you flood out or you get mana screwed, like there's no amount of skill is going to really save you from that. But if you have a basic understanding of like strategies and control of your deck, I mean that obviously will kind of give you an edge. But I don't think you can do that well in a tournament and just be completely like trash at the game. I think there's got to be something there to make it that far to a tournament, especially your first tournament. Like there's probably some amount of luck to being so being like your first tournament, but like it's definitely there must be something there that I think was a hint towards your future endeavors, I would say.
Yeah, like, I remember I was in the top 8 and my opponent was at 3 and I top decked like Wizard's Lightning off the top or something and they were like, oh, like right when they were about to come back to win like in game 3 or something. And I played against you remember Aetherspire Harvester?
Yes.
The Abzan Vehicles deck?
Yep.
I played against that in one of the rounds as well against someone else really really good with it and they just got completely mana screwed. They were like, "Oh, this always happens," kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
So like it was that one tournament that was like maybe I'm pretty good at this, but I already had like resource management / card game like know-how already from like being really good at Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. I always laugh when I play like not like board games with my friends because I have like the background in card game stuff, so I feel like I understand how games work a little better in terms of like resource efficiency and like all that kind of stuff. Versus people who are just like, let's play Settlers of Catan and I don't, or whatever. But you have that, that edge and that training of playing card games for so long. So you said you were a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player as well, correct?
Yes.
So how long did you play Yu-Gi-Oh for, and like what got you into Yu-Gi-Oh?
What got me into Yu-Gi-Oh is I had always collected the cards from when I was super young. I would watch Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon on Saturday mornings, every Saturday morning.
Classic. Yeah.
And I would collect both of the cards and didn't really play anything until one of my family friends' sons, he started playing Yu-Gi-Oh, so I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh with him, and of course we both sucked, and it was a long time ago. This is back, like if anybody knows what like Maneater Bug and Legend Genie of the Lamp are, then like it was a long time ago. But those back in the day, of course, that I was just collecting them. I liked the art. I watched the anime, stuff like that. But it wasn't until I was around 23-ish years old, 24, when I had moved out of my mom's house when I was 18, and then I moved back in a few years later. When I moved back in, my brother was playing like Yu-Gi-Oh, and he was getting better and better at it by learning from people at his local game store. And he was going to Cool Stuff. He was going to Cool Stuff Inc. and playing in tournaments and learning from people and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what, I could do this thing. And I was like, oh well, what deck do I want to play? What deck do I like? And it turned out that one of the meta decks was only like $20. You only needed to get like, or $30. You only needed to get like 3 of a starter deck, and it just made an actual meta deck. So I was like,
good.
All right, I already like this game. I might as well try to learn it. And they're saying it's $30 for a really good deck, and my brother was like, yeah, it's a really good deck. So I started playing it and wanted to get better from there. And that was when I was around 23. I'm 29 now. And then from 23 to 26, I had like a huge, like learned super fast because it turns out I think it was just lucky that the circle of friends that my brother had at the local game store also happened to be like some of the best players in Florida.
Oh wow!
Well, like probably not even knowingly, just happened to be one of the people right now is one of the people that have judged in worlds and big huge tournaments and stuff. And so through learning from them and going to their house and play testing and like learning how to get better at tournaments and things, I ended up doing really well in tournaments. Go figure.
Yeah.
So it turns out that really when your friends are really good players, you can become really good players if you practice with them. So that's kind of my story, and I was on an actual like esports org, and we traveled around the U.S. I drove to Wisconsin, which I do not recommend at all because I'm in Florida. It's
It's
like a
a
13-hour drive. Do not recommend.
yeah, that's a
And
long
like
drive.
yeah, and I drove to Pittsburgh from Florida. Also, don't recommend. But like a lot of these things, it was just really fun to travel around and play Yu-Gi-Oh at a high level.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I I've never I collected Yu-Gi-Oh like the initial first run probably, and I was just like, I'm just gonna collect the cards and make Yugi's deck, and that's all I'm gonna have. Like, I'm not actually gonna play or anything, but like anytime you played a card in the show, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that card. I'm gonna make make the deck, and then inevitably it's like, yeah, the cards they keep changing. I don't think I'm ever gonna have like a full actual replica of his deck. So I and for me, I mean, I can't. I look at the game now, and it's just the level of I mean, I know Magic is a fairly complex game, but I look at Yu-Gi-Oh and I'm just like, I don't even know. You look at these text boxes, it's like, size 5-point font, and it's like these full paragraphs of stuff, and I'm just like, that's a lot, man. I don't got time. Give me my first strike, life link. All right, 2/2, good to
No,
go. That
I honestly think like a college professor was like, write your master's dissertation, and then they just put it on a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
that's some of them look like that, and some of the interactions. So I guess if someone has pretty much extensive experience in both. Like, what do you think is the biggest kind of difference between Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic, either from a difficulty, like, or learning curve standpoint, or even in an enjoyability? Like, I've played card games that were kind of cool, but like weren't super fun. But I've played other games that were like super basic, but like a blast to play. Like, what as someone who's kind of played both, like, what are your experience? Like, what do you think are like the biggest difference between the two games?
All right, let me put it this way. Okay, have you ever played a deck in Magic? Because I mean, you've played Magic, of course. Have you ever played a deck in Magic that you win the game and your opponent just had no chance, like no shot, the entire game they were behind, no way they can win ever. You cast like Kiora, Best to See God, they have no out, and they just scoop immediately.
Yes, I have.
Ever happened?
I can't say I have experienced it, and it feels good sometimes, but sometimes you feel bad for your opponent. But yeah. But yeah, I
Right,
have.
right.
Yeah. Yes.
At the end of that game, you're like, dude, that was so fun. My deck's insane, and you just wipe your shoulder off a little bit. You're like, I'm the best player,
Yeah.
right? And you're like, this is the best deck. And then the next time you can just like lose super hard, but then you're always looking for that way that you can just like blow out the next opponent again, like you did before.
Yeah.
That's Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Because there's a lot of times where it's back and forth, but most of the time it's I have this broken thing that if you don't answer me, you cannot win. And you also have that in your deck too.
Uh huh.
So I have to have my Force of Wills in my hand because there's no mana. I
Yeah.
have to have my Force of Will cards in my hand to stop you and hope that you don't have a Force of Will for my Force of Will so that you can do your combo. And then if you do your combo and I can't stop you from doing it, then I'm going to lose. Now, that can be super fun,
Mm.
but they're both Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh are very fun. They're just fun in completely different ways.
Yeah.
And that's not even making any testament to the learning curve. I'm not talking about that right now. I'm just talking about like pure fun level.
Yeah.
They're both fun. It's just a matter of like kind of what kind of fun do you want to have.
Yeah.
I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh has Yu-Gi-Oh. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh has more feels bads, but also Magic has feels bads, but they're completely different feels bads. Like I flooded out. My opponent's playing a 1/1 every turn, but I'm drawing a land every turn, so those 1/1s are killing me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm drawing a land every turn, and I just like cannot stop drawing lands. Or you have a really powerful like sweeper on turn 4, and you just like are on 3 lands for 4 turns in a row, and your opponent's just flooding the board and killing you. And you're like, well, if I would just draw a land, I could sweep them, but that's kind of a feels bad, right?
Yeah.
They're just two different kinds of feels bads, but they're both feels bads. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, you still have the feels goods, like you just blew your opponent out, Kiora, Best of See God, they have no chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in Magic, you can consider yourself there's still those kind of games where you like blow them out, they had no chance. But there's also those kind of games where like goes back and forth forever, and you make these incremental advantage plays, and like you feel like you're insane, you're amazing, and you won this game because of your brain was so much larger than your opponent's, and you feel really good. That's it feels good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in my when I was developing in my mother's room, she drank so much milk that it made my brain so gigantic, right? Right? And you just like go off on yourself about how good you are at Magic, and that's kind of like it feels good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's speaking about that. It's just just two really different kinds of feels goods and feels bads. But but as far as the learning curve, so in that way, what I previously said, they're both fun
Yeah.
in different ways. With about the learning curve, there's two things I want to say about this. Number one, Yu-Gi-Oh is much harder to get into than Magic is. Astronomically harder to get into. All you need to do in order to like really sink in what I just said is go watch Day 9 play Yu-Gi-Oh. Go watch Adine play Yu-Gi-Oh. Go watch Magic streamers that always play Magic just try Yu-Gi-Oh for the first time. I promise you, they will have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
In order to even begin of learning what's going on, even Crawfoot, right? Has started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And has played Magic in the past, and even to start, even getting anything better than terrible at the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Requires so much learning of random rules and interactions and things that you probably think should never even exist. Why are all of these things in the game at one point? What's a normal summon? What's a special summon? How many times can you normal summon? What's a pendulum summon? How do you pendulum summon? What's an exceed summon? Why do they call it exceeds and not XYZ? And why is it spelled XYZ again? What's a synchro summon? What's a tuner? What's a fusion? What's a ritual? Like, you have to learn about all these things and they're all foreign all at the same time. It is absolutely so much learning that I think you just have to dedicate like a month or at least 2 weeks of just like only playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, quit your job, quit your hobbies, quit what you do, quit everything you do, and just like learn Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, and then you'll get it in like 2 weeks. Yeah, like probably a lot of the things that I just mentioned you don't know what they are. Oh yeah, I forgot. What's a link summon? What do you put in the graveyard? What do you put face up in your extra deck? What's an extra deck? Why do you need the extra deck? What like it's just so many different things. So with that said, the barrier to entry to play Yu-Gi-Oh is just astronomically higher than more than it is in Magic. In Magic, you can, of course, there's complicated interactions and stuff, but those are few and far between.
Yeah.
Because like you can read the word crew too on a vehicle, and you're like, what's a crew? Things like that, or you can read, what's menace, what's haste, you can just read up all these keywords, and yeah, you don't know what those are, but like, it doesn't take a rocket science to like learn what those are. You can learn every relevant mechanic like flying and vigilance and lifelink.
Yeah.
Some of those are just intuitive, like lifelink.
Yep.
You suck life out and you gain the life that you do. Kind of simple. Flying, oh, it like flies over the blockers. Like, you can understand that.
Yep.
But if you just said link summon or pendulum summon, you have no idea at all what I'm talking about.
Nope.
So
not at all. I think I remember special summon. I remember there was things with their stars and something or other, and I think
oh yeah.
And
What are stars? What are stars? Are stars levels? Levels are stars? Okay, what's a rank? What's an overlay material? What's a exceed material? Are those even on the field anymore? What happens when? It's just so confusing. But I say all that to say this, that I've always said, and I've never heard anyone else say this, but I think it's true, that Magic is easier to get into. Barrier to entry is smaller, but it's harder to master. Whereas Yu-Gi-Oh is harder to get into, but easier to master.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Because once you learn the interactions in Yu-Gi-Oh, and once you learn what cards do in the meta and what like all the cards that people play do, you don't have to. There's not really much to learn after that. Like, there's some things to learn. Like, of course, everyone's always learning, and you can always get better. I'm not saying that you can't.
Yeah.
But there's not, like, once you get to the level of I'm good at this game, it does take a little bit of a larger push, pretty big push to get from I'm good at the game to I'm great at the game. But it's not nearly as big of a gap to I'm okay at the game to like I'm great at the game as it is in Magic. That gap in Magic is really large. That's like
All right, we are back. Had a little technical difficulties there, but if it's not technology, if it's not causing you a headache. So my question was for you, after playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duels program and then like Magic Arena, what are, like, someone who's kind of familiar with both games and who plays a lot of Arena, like what did you think of the actual client on the Yu-Gi-Oh side? And do you think there's maybe stuff that Arena could like learn from or implement on their side, or maybe stuff that Arena does better? I'm just kind of curious, like what, as someone who's played, I'd say high level in both of those games and especially online, like what do you think of the two clients?
I think the two clients do a lot of things right. I mean, I also do think that the clients do some things wrong too. But one thing that I can point to is Spectator Mode for sure. Like the fact that Magic Arena doesn't have a Spectator Mode yet is like interesting to like put it very nicely.
Yeah.
The fact that we have to like gather people up into a Discord to share their screens in Discord channels, still being a tournament organizer, because I organize tournaments as well. I do a tournament called Stream League every month. We're going on our 9th one coming up in a few days.
Oh, wow.
But where we do a 32-player tournament where a bunch of streamers come in and play against each other, which is really a really fun time. But the fact that I can't just go to the Arena client and go to Spectator Mode and watch the matches in Spectator Mode is crazy. If we had a Spectator Mode in Arena, we would be able to watch the match from both players' perspectives fairly easily, instead of having to have a multiple Discords, multiple IPs set up with different computers in different rooms. Like you have to do so many things to get two instances of Discord to show up on a stream at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that. You can't really do that with a Spectator Mode. It's just much easier. And also, not only is it easy to run tournaments, but it's easier to, because in the Master Duel client, you can just go into in the client and just like spectate a duel like you didn't originally search out.
Oh, okay.
Right. So you can spectate whatever basically you wanted.
Like you can watch replays, essentially? Is that kind of...
Yeah, well, that too. But so how valuable would it be, like in real time, to be able to watch if the number one Mythic player was playing and wasn't a streamer? How valuable would it be to just watch that person play their deck? People would want to do that, right?
Yep.
How valuable would it be to like find the highest ranked person playing your, Jun deck on ladder? How valuable would it be for you to just like sit down and watch that?
Yeah.
And that's what you can do in the Master Duel, that you can't do on Arena. And then also on Arena, and this is just more towards the economy, but the dusting mechanic.
Yeah.
In Master Duel, to where like I currently right now I think I have 16 copies of Duress on Arena.
Yeah.
And I don't want more Duresses. I trust me, I don't. Like if I could give up 12 of those Duresses and get like one other common or like anything like that, like I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
So there's definitely things that is like left to be desired for both of the clients, but they're both really good. Like I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't even be a streamer, I don't think, if Arena didn't exist. So Arena's given me the platform that has allowed me to quit my job and create content full time. So like I can't even really like I have a appreciation for Arena being able to even exist in the first place.
Yep.
Although it does have those like problems that I think could be addressed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the biggest requests or complaints maybe some people have had for Arena is the Spectator Mode, especially considering how Wizards pitched Arena as like the future of pro Magic play in a lot of ways. Obviously, pro Magic play has had its own evolution recently, but the fact that like Arena was supposed to be like the avenue for professional, I can articulate professional play. So it's amazing that they have not. That was not a launch feature, and to your point, I see. I'm sure with your Stream League, or with I know we both watch Jeff Hoogland a lot in like the Hooglandia Open. Just trying to like coordinate Discord and streaming, it seems like such an unnecessary step that should have been addressed fairly early in the lifespan of Arena. So maybe, I mean, hopefully that is something on the radar. It's who knows what their plans are for that program, but and yeah, the economy part, yeah, I feel you with the 12 copies of Duress, just reprints of cards and different sets, and I don't know what the answer is for that. I don't know if it's simply a matter of making the vault open faster and have more stuff in it. I don't know if it's a dusting system. I'm sure, like most things, it's probably some combination of a few things, but it's weird. It's definitely not a perfect program. But to your point, like, I know it's one of the big reasons I started playing Magic again, because I don't have a lot of people I can play with locally. Really don't have anyone I can play with locally. So to be able to play Magic in some form has been great. So it's definitely, what's to quote Seal, every rose has its thorns. So you got to take what you can get. So talk to me about these tournaments you're in, your Stream League. What's you hosted? Did you do by yourself? Like, let's talk to me about that. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'll take you right back to the beginning. I started out with I used to watch Mythic Matt a lot.
Okay.
I don't think he streams as much anymore, but he's a teacher, has a lot on his plate. But he's a super nice guy, and it started out with me just asking for a collab. I was like, I watch you all the time. I mean, we're both streamers. I've seen you watch me before. You're in my chat too. So why don't we do something together? And he was like, cool, yeah, what do you want to do? I was like, what if we just do a streamer battle, where I play against you, and it's cool, it's fun for our people that watch us both. And he was like, yeah, it sounds fun. And I was like thinking about it, and I was like, wait, what if we just did it for a lot of streamers, or have a tournament with a bunch of streamers? I don't see that no one's doing that, so why don't I do that?
Yeah.
And then he was working with me on that for a while. He made the original promo video for it and everything. I don't even think I have it anymore, but I could. It'd be cool to see that brought up again.
Yeah.
But and I wasn't even doing it on MTG Melee. I don't believe at the time. I did it on just some jank tournament bracket software thing, and it was so bad. It was so bad. But the first one we did, and he won the whole thing. And then afterwards, I kept wanting to improve on it and make it better and better. And all of a sudden, the tournament got sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc.
Yeah, that's
.com,
yeah,
which was really cool. And Cool Stuff is my LGS, so I was like, well, many people in your store probably already know me, and I would love to work with you guys. Here's my Twitch numbers and stuff, and would you like to sponsor this tournament, kind of thing? And then they said yes, thankfully, and they were able to provide a lot of the price support, and that's how we can get $1,000 of price support, because that's a CoolStuffInc.com store credit, which you can basically just get anything from cards or whatever. But that kind of allowed it to be what I want it to be. I want it to be big. I want it to be important. I want people to watch it and be like, oh my gosh, these streamers playing against this streamer. I've always wanted to know what it was like to have Veggie Wagon play against Talia Vess. Right, or I kind of, it would be so cool if I got to watch Zan Syed play against Seth Manfield.
Yeah,
it's just these things that you kind of don't really get unless you watch a Pro Tour or you watch a Mythic Invitational, where you can watch Gabe Nassif play against, whatever name your top player, Seth Manfield, right?
Yeah.
So what I was thinking to myself, man, I want it to be big. I want it to be that, right? So I was thinking about it, man. I was like, who's gonna? I want this to be I want this to be commentated too. I want it to be important on MTG Melee. So, we posted the first one on MTG Melee, and I was like, well, I want commentary too. So we weren't able to do the commentary on the entire thing because I only had one monitor at the time.
Uh-huh.
I had one monitor all the way up until I hit partner on Twitch.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it was only until we wanted to expand the tournaments out that I was like, okay, well, I need another monitor for to run the tournament on Discord. So
yeah.
That was the main reason. If I was running tournaments, I still believe wholeheartedly that I have one monitor.
Sometimes I have 3 monitors set up sometimes, and sometimes it's too much monitor. I'm like, I got a thing here, I got a thing here. I got a thing here. I'm like, what am I looking at? All right, I'm trying to find
You're
I lose
like,
the mouse. I'm like, where the hell's my mouse arrow, man? Like, so.
Yeah, where did I save this page again? And all of a sudden you saved it in your phone. It's like a fourth monitor.
Yeah,
But
don't
you're like, oh, that's
phone.
that random tab on my phone. That's what I needed. And you were looking for like 30 minutes on your computer.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was like, who can we get to do these tournaments? So I was like, I knew that I was a part of Fade to Karma, Comnet back then, and I know Zabricus was a pretty cool, not only cool, but like a major part of it. So I was like, and we've interacted before on Twitch. So I contacted Zabricus and was like, would you help commentate my tournament? It's only the finals. I was like, I'm only commentating the finals because I only have one monitor. And she agreed to that, which is really cool. And in Stream League 3, I was like, I want to up it even more. So we got Zabricus to do it again for the first half of the tournament. We got CGB, Covert Go Blue, to commentate the other half. And then it kind of evolved from there to where I paid the commentators out of my own money, and I was happy to do it.
Yeah.
And then
that's awesome.
And then I contacted Cool Stuff, and since Cool Stuff sponsors other creators like Jim Davis and different creators like Ali Eldrazi and Covert Go Blue, people like that, I was like, well, if I get a CoolStuffInc.com creator that's also is very invested into the competitive gaming world and tournaments and things, that'll be awesome. So I contacted Jim Davis, and he was down, and he's been commentating the tournaments with me ever since. So he's done Stream League 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, so 5 in a row.
Wow.
And then he will be back for Stream League 9 on the 6th, which is really, really cool. Some amazing players have won, some unexpected games, some amazing matches, different formats. We did an Alchemy one, Standard, a couple of historic ones. We do all the formats on Arena. And then this next one is Standard. But we've had players like Elliot Dragon win, French player. We've had players like, Stimex NMTG from also from Europe that has won a Stream League.
That's awesome.
And people like Seth Manfield and things have played, and they haven't won yet. So there's some competition out there. And it's just really cool to see Polyvest got third place before. And I'm just thinking of these off the top of my head that from just remembering things that I've covered before in the past, it's just a really fun experience. And even if it's not like the most competitive thing ever, like, Seth Manfield hasn't won yet, and he's played in a couple of them, right? So like it can't be like the least competitive thing in the world, and it's just really fun, a fun experience to be a part of, and I just love putting them on. And this actually recently we've been partnering with MTG Melee to be able to give out Mythic Invitational Qualifier invites. So we're going to be we gave out invites for this past month, a couple months ago, and then we'll be giving out invites for this next one on the 6th as well. What is it? I believe it's April Mythic Invitational Qualifier invites, and 3, 6, 9, 12, like 18,000 arena gems as well being given out throughout the tournaments as well. So it's definitely grown a lot from the janky the janky tournament with no prize support at all besides the $50 out of my pocket, and no commentators, no coverage at all, to what it is now is just so amazing. And I've always wanted it to grow it incrementally ever since. So this is where we are now, and I'm really excited to have these tournaments.
That's awesome, man. Like, it's not only is it cool that you take time out of your life, right? Because you probably do these on the weekend, I'm assuming, is that when probably most people are available.
I usually have them on Sundays.
Yeah, so you're already, you're taking a Sunday off to put these tournaments on, and the fact that you've seen it evolve into like, from kind of just like this basic sort of setup to like seeing the progression to where you're at now, I think like that kind of stuff I love to see. I love to see creators like have an idea and be able to kind of like push it in a direction and to see it succeed. And honestly, knowing you doesn't surprise me that you're doing so well. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Like, I'm sure James has got that on lockdown now, so that's great. I'll have to check one of those out sometime. That's pretty cool. Like, I'm glad to hear that's going so well for you, and I think that's part of the, there's a lot you can say about like the Magic community, some good, some bad, but it's these sort of things that like these community events that kind of get put on, I think, which really makes it special and like makes it a more enjoyable kind of place to be. And it's what's kind of brought me back and has made me interested in kind of like getting involved with the community in whatever small ways I can. So, well, that's cool,
right.
man. That's
Yeah, like being able to just like do the tournaments as like a big collaborative effort too. Like one of the other reasons why I wanted to do these tournaments is what if someone's like really, really good at Magic,
Mhm.
but nobody knows about them because they have like one or two average viewers on Twitch? Like
Yeah.
when you have that low of viewers, like nobody really is coming to find you.
Yep.
And if you don't create content on like YouTube or TikTok or anything like that, or even post on Twitter, um, like no one's coming to find you. Like it's a sad reality, but like the one and two viewers could be you and then your phone,
Yep.
like your like your own phone. Like it's actually just crazy the amount of like the non-discoverability that Twitch has right now, and hopefully that changes in the future. But one of the things is, what if you're really good at Magic and you have one or two viewers and you're just like trying to break through? Maybe you have 5 or 10 viewers and you're like, you really want people to know who you are because you're good at Magic and you're a really fun person, you're a good personality. And what if you can enter this tournament that's with all these other really big content creators that are, or maybe, I mean, that are bigger than you, that you can kind of get your name out there and maybe people come to see you, and now you're in top eight and I'm covering your top eight with me and Jim Davis in my stream league, and now people love your deck and they love watching you, and I say, well, they're actually live right now, like they're streaming this, and then they go
Yep.
over there and watch them and now they love them. And so that's another just a way of discoverability for smaller streamers that I love, and that one of the things that I have been passionate about this whole time. And that's just one of the reasons. That's just one of the reasons why I love doing this as well. And I'm telling you this for you're one of the first people that know about this. And you know, the cat's out of the bag. You know, when people hear about this interview here, but uh, it's been 32 players ever since the original one,
Hmm.
and I'm looking to do a 64 and 128 Stream League Open coming up.
Wow, that is huge. That is huge. I like to say that that'll make waves across the Magic community, but I'm sure the 6 people who watch this, who are all pretty much my friends and probably you, may not get out super fast. But I will help you promote it as much as I can. I will make sure I retweet and like every tweet that you put out associated with your stream link. That is my contribution that I can do in my small way. Um, yeah, that's cool, man. So it's okay. So that leads me. So I want to kind of step back a little bit because I thinking about that is so we met at MTG Vegas, and for me that Vegas was like such a wild time. Like I was trying to get out there. So I live in Southern California. So for me, I drove out. I'm close enough to Vegas where I can drive, and I'm like, man, like I'm kind of was starting to, you know, do some stuff on TikTok with my magic. I just do magic haikus. That's literally all I do on TikTok. And then I kind of started talking with Veggie over Twitter, and we kind of whatever. And like I know he was going, and I'm like, man, there's so many people. I think for a lot of people, it was the post like Delta pre Omicron COVID lull where there was that kind of dip where things were kind of starting to feel pretty good. So I think a lot of people were like, yeah, we're all going to go to this event. So I was like, man, I want to go and see like who I can meet. So I went out there, and I went out with a friend who has nothing to do, doesn't play Magic, doesn't whatever. He was just going to go. So I didn't go by myself. He basically stayed in the room the whole time and worked, and we hung out after the show. But just going and meeting you and Veggie was like, as someone who is super shy, like for the most part, how like welcoming you guys were was like it made that experience well worth the stress of like getting there and getting out there, because you guys were just immediately like super friendly, and we got to talking, and like in my head I had to laugh because I was just like, I feel like we had this unspoken thing where whoever was tweeting anything about the show, we all were like liking and retweeting it. It's like, yeah, we're all gonna support each other right now and get pushing out like whatever we can in terms of promoting each other's content. It was you guys and Lord Kaiju. I feel like that was kind of the little foursome group of people I met that I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like this is a cool group of people I got to meet and hang out with, and amongst like walking around and talking to people and taking photos and getting autographs and stuff. But I wanted to kind of talk about it because you are, I believe you're a part of Degenerate Gaming, correct?
Yes, Degenerate Gaming.
Yeah, and I kind of, was that kind of the first meetup you guys all got to have, like in person?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think for you guys, that was probably pretty cool that you had the chance to kind of meet all these people. And And I guess I just wanted to kind of talk about like what your experience has been with this what would you call, like, a stream team, gaming team? I don't even know what the term is.
Esports org.
Esport. There you go. Esports org. That makes sense. So yeah. So what is it like being on a like an esports team? Like what do you guys like to do? Like what is I guess your kind of goal, or like what are your thoughts on like on that team?
Oh my gosh, where do I start? I mean, it's like the most like tight knit group of people that I think I've ever been a part of. Like
That's
everyone's
awesome.
hyping everybody. Everyone's hyping everybody up. Like there's no like entitlement anywhere. There's no like I'm better than you, or it's all like let's help each other.
Hmm.
We're always in there all the time talking about like how do I improve this? Would you like to join my thing? Well, I'll join your thing. Let's do this together. Let's do this together. Let's build a deck for MTG Nerd Girl. Let's like we like crowdfund contribute. Like I just actually just spent $10 to give somebody to like add a card to MTG Nerd Girl's future commander deck that we're going to be getting for her.
Nice.
So it's like in that aspect, it's just so cool to be a part of something like that. And I've always been an advocate for, creators collabing together, doing things together, strengthening the community. Um, and I always want to be like a voice of positivity rather than negativity. Um, so that's amazing. I mean, not only that, it's an opportunity to grow your brand and collaborate and there a lot of streamers that have been in DGen gaming have like seen some growth from being a part of the team, and you're affiliated with huge streamers like Ali Eldrazi and Covert Go Blue and MTG Nerd Girl
Hmm.
and people like that. And I can just think of myself like just starting streaming when I had like 5 or 10 viewers, and I was like, I remember when I had 7 viewers, and I was like, come on, chat, like let's get to 10, like let's freaking go, we got this.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, like 30 seconds later, we hit 11, and I was like, oh my god, like if I can get to 11, I can get to 1100, right?
Yeah,
And it's
dude.
just like
That's
it's
the
like
right attitude.
yeah, if those like it's just like those little like kind of like confidence boosts when it comes to being a part of a team like that. That's just so invaluable. And if I was thinking about quitting streaming like next month, I wouldn't because of this group.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I'm not going to. Like I'm full time now. I don't want to go back to a job ever again in my life. I don't want to be a server at a restaurant ever again.
Yeah.
Um, but
Rough times.
right, rough times, yeah. But just as not even like considering like the money or esports orgs or sponsorships or like anything like that. Like DJ gaming just as a group of people is like a lot of times you can get caught up in numbers and like kind of lose sight of that these are actual people,
Yeah.
and they're just awesome people.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's probably why I think you and I kind of hit it off too, because I think we have a very similar mindset in terms of like building people up, like building a better community. Like that's for me kind of the focus of my kind of goal with this show is to highlight people in the community, like just promote a better community. Because it's really easy. I mean, it's really easy to gatekeep a lot of stuff, and there's really there's no need. There's enough room for everybody, right? There's enough views and people to kind of go around, and being able to what's the term, a rising tide lifts all boats, and I think that's a very good mindset to have as a creator, because it's very easy to get jealous or discouraged when like you think you're working hard, or you think you see someone who is doing well that maybe you think you should be doing better than them. And I think those sort of attitudes detract from a person's ability to do better work. So it's great to hear what you guys are trying to do and how you guys build each other up, and your support for each other in the community. I think that's awesome, and that's I think that's we need. Not that it's not out there, but I think that's the kind of stuff we need to hear more about when it comes to Magic and any video games or anything really, anything in life. So
Yeah,
um,
I'll actually add one more thing to that. When you said "rising tide raises all ships," it's crazy when you said that. When I had only started streaming for about like 2, 3, 4 months,
mhm.
when I was the baby in the industry. I still kind of am a baby, but back then I wanted to start a podcast, and I was, of course, as I am today, really into like smaller streamers being able to get discovered and getting their personalities out there, and you know the whole thing I was already talking about. So I wanted my podcast to be named Rising Tide, and it was called Rising Tide.
That's
I
funny.
actually interviewed just like this about four people for
Mm.
Rising Tide,
That's right.
and
We talked about this a little bit. I think I watched a few of them. Um, you told me about it back at Vegas, actually. Yeah.
yeah, I actually had them uploaded to YouTube, but they're unlisted. Like they're not actually on my YouTube.
Oh, really?
Um, and then I decided that I wanted to make it a little bit of like a broader spectrum of just like streamers in general. So I decided to call it Streamcast. So still have the Streamcast podcast to this day, and
Okay.
I'm rebooting it up soon. And we do a podcast of not just one guest, like we're doing right now, but
Yep.
we do a podcast of multiple guests at a time. So we've had a historic state of the game podcast that is on my YouTube channel called What Is Historic, and that's with Gavin Bennett, Jeff Hoagland, Chris Patello, Zan Syed, and me, and
Awesome.
and also Striderstone was on there as well. So it's we've done those. We've done of of course not together anymore, but we did a Fade to Karma podcast episode with a bunch of those people, and the whole mindset is getting people together, creating a positive experience for the Magic community, just like you're doing. And I'm really happy that you're doing this because I think Magic needs something like this. It really does.
That makes me. I'm glad to hear that. Like I like. I'm hoping that if one or two people can enjoy this, then my job is done. Because I went in this not like I'm never gonna be like a full time content creator, but I do enjoy making content, if that makes sense. So I'm glad to hear that you think this is worthwhile because I'm really glad you're on, and I'm blushing a little bit. It
I do
speaks
think
for
I
me.
do think it's worthwhile for sure.
Yeah. So very cool. So let's talk about your streaming career. Let's talk about going full time. So, were you when you started streaming? Like, did you ever think, or did you ever want it to be your full time job? Was that like what got you into streaming? Like you're like, oh, I can do this. Like I see people doing it full time. Like was that a goal, or did you start streaming because you know you liked playing games and then you just like figured why not, or were you like me in the middle of the pandemic who started streaming riding an exercise bike because he was bored and was like let's do something whatever like what so what was your thought process when you first started streaming and like was full time a goal?
Yeah, ever since day one of my streaming career, I said I wanted to do this full time. Unironically, I'm telling you right now, day one, I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And then ever since day one, I've streamed at least 5 days a week ever since I started, and that was August 20th of 2020.
Wow.
Like almost 2 years ago. I guess a year and a half ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I started off with just that mindset of I'm gonna win. I'm gonna do this. If if Jeff Hoagland can support his family doing this and making a YouTube channel, if Jim Davis can do this, if Crokies can do this, if Alias V can do this, if DZ can do this, like if all of these different people that I had been watching can do this,
Yep.
then I can do it. And I just always had that mindset. Like I just told you a minute ago, if I can get 11 viewers, I can get 1100. So I
Yep.
told myself, this is back when we were talking about Tron, right? When I was like, I want to build this Tron deck. Right before I built it, I watched every single one of Jeff Hoagland's videos playing Tron, and they were all on YouTube. And
Yeah.
my little brother at the time had been just watching Twitch, and I didn't even know what Twitch was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what's this Twitch thing? And I looked at Twitch and I looked at the Magic the Gathering category, and there you go. Jeff Hoagland was streaming Twitch. And I was like, oh, you mean this Tron guy that I watched on YouTube is also streaming?
Yeah.
And so I watched him. So I saw him and I was like, oh, this content's cool. I want to continue watching it. And then I watched Crokies and all these other people, right? And I was like, well, I mean, if they can do it, that seems super fun. Like, wake up, play Magic, stop, end stream, make a YouTube video, hang out with your family, do whatever you want, go to sleep, rinse, repeat. I want to do that. Like it's just like a just dream pipe dream, right?
Yeah.
Like somewhere out in the universe, maybe I could do that at some point.
Yeah.
So, but I've always had the mindset of like I want to do this, I'm gonna do it. So one day I was I got one day I was like I'm gonna get a computer, but like just to play Arena.
Mhm.
and I was like, maybe I'll stream off this computer once I move out of my mom's house, like again. So I moved out of my mom's house again, and I moved my computer out, and I was like, I have this computer. I'm not in my mom's house anymore. It was like literally a week after I moved to the new place out of my mom's house. I was like, I'm gonna stream. So you know what I did is I turned on OBS, I booted up the game, and I learned a bit at all about how streaming worked, and I just pressed record. And guess what happened on my first stream? Nobody could hear me because I didn't have a mic set up. No one could see me because I didn't have a webcam set up. And the only thing they could see was a muted version of me playing Arena, and only Arena. And I was like, wait, so you mean I have to learn graphic design? You mean I have to learn, like, advertising? You mean I have to learn, like, all these different things I never thought I'd have to learn? And I was like, well, I want to make this my career since day one. So day two, I had a mic. And I used my microphone from my stay-at-home job at the time. I just like took the headset from the job and I just plugged it into my other computer.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I just did that for like the longest time until Christmas rolled around, and my sister graciously bought me a microphone to use, and I still use the same microphone to this day.
Awesome.
And so the second day, I was using my microphone from my work. On the third day, I had panels. On the fourth day, I had, intro screen. On the fifth day, I finally got my webcam in. Or no. On the fifth day, I had like, emotes in mind that I wanted to get because I wasn't an affiliate yet. I can't really have like emotes and subs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I incrementally increased something every single day. And then on the seventh day, I hit affiliate because that's the shortest amount of time you can hit it is a week. So when that week hit, I hit affiliate. And I think I averaged like 4.6 viewers or something like that. And you know what? When my webcam came in the mail, the eighth day, like on my first affiliate stream, I had a webcam.
Nice.
So I can say that I made affiliate without a webcam. And a lot of people do this. A lot of people do that. Like I know there's amazing creators like Adam the Ant Plays that is an ant on screen.
Yeah.
And things like that, or people that don't use any camera whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like I know that Mistman has hundreds and hundreds of viewers with no camera.
Yeah. I was
He
gonna
just
say,
recently,
he popped in my head too. Yeah. He was cameraless for a long time.
very very long years, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least a couple years.
Yep.
And you had no camera, and by all means you can do that. But like I wanted to have a camera, and I made affiliate without a camera, and finally my camera came in.
Yep.
So like I just like pride myself on like getting better at like one thing every single day.
Yeah, that's good. So like I think that speaks a lot to the mindset of what it takes to become a streamer, because I think a lot of people look at streamers and just go, oh yeah, I could do that. Like that's easy. Like you just play video games all day. Like that's easy. That's simple. Like I do that anyways, But the dedication to stream, but not only stream, but you have to stream consistently. You have to, like as you alluded to, you have to become a graphic designer. You have to learn some videography. You have to learn some audio engineering. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that I don't think people realize. Like to do this long term takes a lot of back end work, and even then, you're not necessarily guaranteed that you're going to hit and get any sort of following, right? So that kind of actually leads into my follow up question as like as someone who has streamed for a while. Like, what would you say, are some consideration, or like what planning do you think is most important? Say, who's someone who maybe wants to get into streaming a little more seriously, or eventually make it their full time. Like, do you have what sort of advice do you think you might have for people looking to kind of try to make the same leap that you've made?
Don't think that you're gonna grow just by how long you stream on Twitch.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I would not even thought about that.
And I can explain a lot more than that. If you have like 5 viewers and it doesn't matter. I don't care if you stream for 4 hours, 10 hours, 24-hour streams. You're not gonna grow as fast as you would grow if you made content in other places. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah.
Be somewhere that's not on Twitch for people to learn who you are, because in those places you're going to get discovered.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 viewers, chances are people probably aren't going to know who you are or see you ever.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that I was talking about before, and the reason why I want to give people opportunities to play in my tournaments and things like that are streamers to get their name out there. But those are the kind of things you want to do, like be on a podcast, play in that tournament, do things to help get your name out there that aren't actually streaming. I would actually recommend, like, if you stream every single day and you're like, why am I not growing? I'd recommend shaving 3 of those days off. Like, stream 4 days and use those other 3 days to just post things everywhere else. Cut up your streams into really funny clips and post them on TikTok.
Yeah.
Cut up your matches and learn how to make a YouTube thumbnail and post them on YouTube. You can talk about your matches and things like that on Twitter. You can talk about how you went 1-17 with this really bad version of a deck, but you think it's funny, and post it on Twitter. Yeah. Or maybe you went 17-1 and Fire Shoes is retweeting it. It's just those different things. I remember the original thing where when I was like around like the 10, 15, 20, 25 viewer mark. Mm-hmm. And what kind of let people know about me was I was doing really, really well with a Boros mid-range deck on Twitch. And a lot of people already already knew me like at the time a little bit, but what really propelled me is posting something about it on Twitter, and then it was my first time I think I ever hit a post on Twitter that hit over 100 likes. And people loved watching my Boros mid-range. They came over from Twitter and watched me play, and that was the first time I ever hit 200 viewers on Twitch, was people watching me play Boros mid-range. And there was another deck that I really liked to play, which was a 4-color broken Omnath, 4-color 4-color adventures deck that won the game with flinging your huge beanstalk giant at your opponent.
Yeah. Okay.
And stuff like that.
Classic.
I don't know if you remember that. You remember that? Yeah, classic. So I got really good at that, and I made an article for MTG Arena Zone because they saw me from Twitter.
Oh wow.
So that's another thing where you don't have to just make video content on TikTok or YouTube. You can just be active on Twitter, be active in other people's communities, be active in other people's Discords. And actually one of the things that I did that kind of got my name out there, not really on purpose, but I got a raid on my 3rd ever stream from Chris Kavartek.
Oh, wow.
And he was streaming at the time with a couple hundred viewers. And I didn't go into his stream with any, ulterior motive of wanting him to raid me or whatever. By the way, if you're a streamer, this is a tangent, but don't ask other streamers for raids. Don't go in there and tell them that you're a streamer. That is not what you do. Please don't do that. It's really cringe, and it'll just make the streamer if you caught them on the wrong day, they'll just ban you on the spot. Mm-hmm. They could block you because it's just not a good look.
Yeah.
And take it from me because I did that once and I felt really bad afterwards when they were why is this person promoting in your chat? The people that are watching that streamer are watching them because they want to be there watching that streamer, not because they want to watch a different streamer that posted their streamer link in the chat.
Yeah.
That looks really needy and desperate. You don't want that vibe, right?
Not at all.
So I was just in his chat, and I was just talking about his gameplay, talking about some of his card choices, and I just I recognized him from one of the either Pro Tours or Mythic Invitational championships that went on, and he either won it or got 2nd place. Something maybe he won it. I forgot whether he did. He went really far, regardless. In the tournament, I was wow, you're the person that made it really far, and off. And I remember he was one of the only people that had made it that far into the tournament by only qualifying from Arena. You know how Arena had those qualifiers where if you won out on day 1 or and won out on day 2, then you made it into the MIQ or whatever.
Yeah.
Invitational. And so he was one of the only people that had done that. And so it was really cool, had a really awesome story, and I remembered him from that. So I was talking to him, it wasn't even for that long, for half an hour maybe. And then I didn't tell him goodbye, off to go stream now. Cross your fingers. Yeah. I was just have a nice day. And then the reason why he said he rated me was because I was a positive vibe in his chat, and he liked the conversation that we had, so he decided to rate me when he found out that I was streaming. And he didn't even really know I was a streamer until he recognized the name talking in his chat when he was scrolling down the Magic category looking for someone to raid.
Yeah.
So it's you don't want to go into the situation looking for that, but it's more of like um like a like a a community involvement thing. Like if
Yep.
you're a big part of the community and you give out to the community, then the community is just going to circle back towards you. It maybe not in a raid or maybe not in like a huge retweet fiesta on Twitter,
Hmm.
but like it's all going to come back to you in a positive way if you give out positive from yourself.
Yep.
Uh, so that's the biggest thing that I can say. Number one, be a positive influence in the Magic community or any community that you're in. You could be listening to this and you're playing League of Legends or Legends of Zelda or Valorant or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're just a positive person in your community and in people's discords, people learn to know who you are and like you, and then you start streaming and people want to watch you because you're that person from this one person's chat that I know of and I've talked to in chat like every single day for the past month and a half.
Hmm.
I'll come watch your stream because I know who you are.
Yep.
A really good example of that is someone named the Nimble Sloth in my chat. He's been
Uh-huh.
hanging out for a month or two, and I guess I think I inspired him to start streaming because he I believe he either number one told me that or and number two he said he was like planning on streaming anyways. So he was a very positive influence in my chat, always very helpful, insightful, participated in the things that we were doing on stream. He would like vote towards like what he thought I would pull out of a pack because we do pack wars on my stream.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Seen those. Always fun.
You say no's? Okay. So
Yeah.
he participated in that. And he would like there was this thing where he like always win it no matter what he picked. Like he would pick we would do like an even or odd mana value, like what's this card gonna be? And he would pick it right every single time and like the chat was like rioting, like, why are you always right? Can you lose for once? So like he's just like a really fun part of the community. So when he started streaming, I rated him
Yeah.
because he's a great part of my a person in my community. Not because he never ever once said that he was going to go be a streamer, or never ever once said that please raid me, or anything like that. Like yeah, after a month and a half of him being in my stream, he was like, man, like I remember him chatting like one time he was like, man, watching you stream really makes me want to stream. So that when I saw him stream, I was like, yo, Nimblesloth's live right now.
Yeah.
Right, let's go raid him. Let's go. And then now one of the mods in my channel, Nuno, is now a mod in his channel and watches him all the time. And he's slowly growing. I remember he hit affiliate in a week just like I did and has 13 viewers now.
That's great.
I mean,
Yeah. That's
it's
awesome.
crazy.
Yep. So it's amazing what positive vibes will do. Put in what you get out, sort of thing. So that's cool. Like that's great to hear. It's great to see. I mean, it's cool because like you have now built yourself a small community of like. It's the OneJame tree, right? Now you have Nimblespoth is kind of like a branch of like in some small way, like you've inspired him to do better, and hopefully he finds success, and then maybe someday someone watching him will do the same thing, and it's this positive flow that kind of goes out, which I think that's awesome to hear. And you know what? I think your advice to people like not just focusing on Twitch, like you got to get out there and get on YouTube, get on TikTok, get on Instagram, like. That's actually a very insightful sort of take in terms of like building a brand and getting yourself out there because there are a lot of avenues, of people out there who play Magic. I go on, you look at MTG TikTok and like there's people on there who've got thousands of viewers who maybe don't have who have not yet made the transition maybe to Twitch if that's what they want to do or not. But like there's so many people out there, like it makes sense to try to capitalize in as many avenues as you can if you are trying to kind of build yourself up and build that name recognition for yourself. So that's
Right. I mean, I can name two people right now that like that are huge on TikTok in Magic, but just don't really stream on Twitch they stream on Twitch some, but not for the most part. But like if you want a career on Twitch, like and you also had a TikTok, you're not hurting yourself. You're helping yourself a lot. There's some people that are very, very popular on Twitter and TikTok that don't even stream on Twitch.
Yep.
I can name two: Tori of the Vast and Anomaly.
Yep.
Anomaly has maybe I think hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok that doesn't even stream on Twitch.
Yep.
But she gets invited to I Hate Your Deck and all these different places and has a bunch of followers on Twitter and is building her brand over there on TikTok and is doing amazing at it.
Yeah.
And just to think, if you're a Twitch streamer just starting out, why would you not use TikTok as a way to get your brand out there? It would be silly to not do that.
Yep. Definitely. Well, before we go, probably want to wrap this up. If you've given me more than enough awesome time of yours, one of my other goals for the show is kind of a theme of what we've talked about today is building a community, building a better community. So what I do is I have what I call the community board, and you've recently in terms of launching your full-time career, I know you've recently started a Patreon. So I am going to pop up the community board with some fancy video editing skills right here. So I'm going to go up, and then it should pop up. And I'm going to add your name to the community board because my show will definitely become a Patreon of you and your full-time journey. So that way I can, kind of put myself, put my money where my mouth is a lot of times, but like I want to be able to support you as much as I can in your journey, and that way, the show and tell will be a Patreon of you to kind of help you be able to continue to work for this goal and just to continue to succeed. It's like literally I feel like the least thing I could do to kind of help a friend out and be able to support you and again to try to be a better force out there. So I will get that going, and yeah, man, I just want to thank you for sitting down with me and just talking to me about your streaming and your background and Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic and just everything you've kind of gone through, and I think you've gave out some awesome advice for people who are kind of interested in getting into streaming. And we'll have to play Spell Table again. I don't know if you know this, but that was the first game I probably said it like 5 times. That was the first time I ever played Commander over Spell Table. So
Wasn't it awesome?
Yeah, it was great. I was like super nervous. I was like, I had all my camera stuff set up, and I was just like, all right, hopefully this goes okay. And then I feel bad. I still think about we played with Voiden and Michael. Yeah, and he cast that Massacre Girl, and I counterspelled it, and I still think maybe I should not have counterspelled that Massacre Girl. It's been on my mind because he was like, all right, I guess. And I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have. So, if he sees this, he might get a laugh out of that. But yeah, it's still been in the back of my mind to this day.
That was a fun game. A fun game.
It was good. Yeah, I think it was a pretty good back and forth. Except for the fact that you had like 27 mana on turn like 3. That was a little.
My deck's not supposed to do that. I promise.
Yeah, that was a little ridiculous. And I had like 2 1/1 Thopters. Like that was cool. Whatever. Nixplumation's a good card, man. What can I say?
It was Nixplumation combined with the 5-mana enchantment that doubles your mana.
Mirari's Wig. Yeah, that's a lot of mana, man.
That might be a lot of mana.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks again. And if we could we go out with one of your famous "Let's Go's" and wrap it up there?
Yes, I will. You can find me on. Of course, you can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/TheOneJame. And you can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/TheOneJame. On YouTube at youtube.com/TheOneJameYT. And on Twitch at twitch.tv/TheOneJame. And of course on TikTok as well. Like we've been talking, I do have platforms on all these. Things that I've been saying. I guess I just do what I talk about. I guess is
practice what you preach. Yeah.
TikTok.com/the_OneJame, and then Instagram is the_OneJame too. But let's go!
Perfect.